This week, the Senate approved a bill passed by the House in November, which will raise Social Security benefits by $196 billion over the next 10 years. And this increase is going to impact millions of Americans, but you may not benefit. So in just a minute, I'm going to explain all the details, including who is impacted and when you can expect these new benefits. And if you don't qualify, don't despair. At the end, I'll link to a video on 5 ways you can increase your Social Security benefits. But first, my name is Kevin Lum. I'm a certified financial planner, and this channel is dedicated to helping 1 million people retire without worry. Now, this is a last minute video because this is late breaking news. The Senate just passed this measure known as the Social Security Fairness Act today. If the legislation is signed into law by President Biden, which is highly likely, if you qualify, it will apply to all benefits payable after December 2023. So many of you watching could receive a nice retroactive payment. So here's some background. The Social Security Fairness Act, which has already passed the House with overwhelming bipartisan support back in November, eliminates 2 policies or 2 provisions that have reduced Social Security benefits for millions of Americans. The first is the Windfall Elimination provision, which reduces Social Security benefits for those who receive benefits from a so-called non-covered pension income, typically public sector jobs that didn't contribute into Social Security or pay into Social Security via payroll taxes. And if you were impacted by the windfall elimination provision, the reductions could be fairly significant. So how did all of this work? Well, Social Security benefits are progressive. They're designed to replace a higher percentage of income for lower wage workers compared to higher wage workers, meaning the first dollars of salary paid to Social Security receive a much higher benefit amount, allowing lower earners to get a disproportionate impact from Social Security. Now, there's a whole complicated formula with bend rates, etc., that I've addressed in other videos, but I'm going to gloss over today. But the idea behind the windfall elimination provision was that it didn't make sense to pay a progressive benefit for someone for work outside of the government when they might very possibly have a very generous pension. So the WP greatly reduced the Social Security amount you might be paid compared to someone who never took a non-covered job. Does all of that make sense? The good news is, if you don't want to pay attention to this, you don't have to, because it looks like it's all going away. But I want you to understand a little bit about what's happening, particularly for those of you who might be reading a news story and saying, what in the world is happening? What is this $196 billion that's going to be paid out over the next 10 years? The second provision that will be eliminated is the government pension offset, the GPO. Often you'll see something referred to the WEP and the GPO. In short, the GPO reduces the spousal or surviving spousal benefits of people who can receive pensions on the basis of non-covered employment. So if you qualify for a spousal benefit or a survivor benefit from Social Security, say you're going to receive a spousal benefit or a survivor benefit of $4,000 a month, but if you have a pension from a non-covered job, meaning it didn't pay into Social Security, your benefit could be greatly reduced, often to zero. There was a formula, but it was not uncommon to see that survivor benefit reduced to zero. And the rules, as I said, were intended to prevent Social Security from overpaying. People with earnings outside the Social Security system could look like low earners and reap a better benefit on their Social Security contribution than people with similar lifetime earnings who paid into Social Security throughout their lives. But many people felt the rules were complicated and ultimately unfair. And so if you're impacted by these rules, this is a nice little bump in your Social Security income. And as a retirement planner, it honestly makes planning a lot easier because these rules were often a hassle to fully understand. And it also made it very hard to fully understand what your Social Security benefit might be because the statements were often wrong. But as with everything, there are naysayers and there are people who say, wait, why are we giving people who already receive a large pension often, giving them more Social Security benefits? The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the legislation will cost nearly $200 billion over the next 10 years and will speed up the demise of the Social Security Trust Fund by about 6 months. So who is impacted by this bill, or who gets a positive benefit from this bill? And there's actually a long list of people. And it's likely if you were going to be impacted by this, you probably have been paying attention to this. But just in case, some of the people are going to be impacted. And of course, it depends on the specific pension plan. But a lot of the people who have non-covered pension plans are teachers, firefighters, police officers, postal workers, air traffic controllers, federal government employees hired before 1983, state and county and municipal and special district workers. So a lot of different groups of people are going to be impacted positively by these eliminations. So you watch this video, you're like, wait, I am impacted by this. When can I expect my check? Don't go spend your new windfall just yet, no pun intended. President Biden still has to sign the bill into law, and then the government has to implement this. So if it impacts you, you should receive a retroactive check back to December 31st, 2023 at some time in the future, but it's going to take a while to implement once it gets signed into law. So don't spend the money quite yet. Okay, that's it for now. This is the last video of 2024. I want to thank all of you for watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, if you do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe now. I have one of my favorite case studies ever coming out in the new year. I've been working on it the past week and I'm really excited to release it. So subscribe and ding that bell. You don't want to miss it. And if you're watching this video and this does not cover you, you're thinking, wait, I don't get an increase in Social Security benefits, but I would love to increase my Social Security benefit. I have a video from a few months ago that talks about 5 different ways you can increase your Social Security benefit.